Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live podcast today with Nicola Amadora. We're super excited to welcome her back. Unfortunately, Barb can't be here today, but we will continue on anyways. So Nicola's been teaching a revolutionary way of deep feminine and Mary Magdalene worldwide for decades. As a seasoned psychologist, spiritual teacher, women's leader, author, and international speaker, she has ushered thousands of women to embody the feminine life power in their own lives and the streets of this world. Nicola leads retreats, courses, professional training, and is the author of Love Unleashed, a groundbreaking book for these wild times. Nicola offers a radical, real, and enlivening way arising from the ancient bedrock of feminine wisdom and true love. She ignited a global movement of awakening women who are empowered from within to transform lives and our world. So, welcome, Nicola. We're super excited to have you on with us today.
Thank you so much, Kim, for inviting me, and everybody who's looking right now, you're in for a treat because today we talk about Mary Magdalene.
Yes, and we're very excited about that.
Yeah, because she's taken the world by a storm, right? Many of you who are watching right now may have noticed how her name pops up everywhere. And in the past, this was a woman, a holy being, holy one who was shunned, oppressed, degraded, and called the whore. So what happened? Who is she? And that's what we're gonna dive into today. And any questions you have, Kim, please feel free to ask. But I want to just dive right into saying, I think why she's so popular now is because we need a woman who lived the way as a flesh and blood woman who embodied a great love. Because her story, I would say, is the most life-affirming, paradigm-shifting love story the world has ever known. And she has embodied the feminine power through her whole life and left a trail for us that is so inspiring, but also can give each one of you the way how you can do that yourself, to liberate yourself, to heal, to awaken, and embody what you know is deeply true within your own self. And so I think Magdalena serves us as, a torchbearer. She was a torchbearer in her own time. She was a teacher, a leader, a healer, in a time where the patriarchy was so strong that women were stoned for doing just that. And she was a mother and a wife to Joshua. So that is still suppressed by the church because it would turn the Bible upside down and the patriarchy would just whoosh crumble in the church domain. But there is proof. There is millions and millions, like the Cathars, the heretics of love, the mystics, the brave women and men have died for just to preserve her message and her story. And that's really striking. That throughout the centuries, can you imagine, 2026 years ago, she lived.
Mm-hmm.
And it is first now that she's becoming so incredibly popular because it is now that we need exactly this, her message, her way for this time. And I think there is, she's often called the Tower of Strength. And there is a truth in that. She was born in Magdala, where there is actually a tower. It's a tower. And she didn't just embody the tower as some guarded, watchtower. She embodied a strength that I feel we need now, not a guarded strength, but one that allows us to connect to the deepest life power and behold our hearts like she did, gentle as a dove, and stand fierce as a lioness in a world that really needs us now.
Yes.
And I think, when I think often of her, I realize, she's a flesh and blood woman. She was a flesh and blood woman. She was a holy woman. But she also, I think what's so inspiring for many women that I guide is that Mary Magdalene walked through every single wound we also carry. That sense of worthlessness, that sense of being oppressed and powerlessness, that sense of like you're being rejected. She experienced everything. An incredible heartbreak when her beloved was hanged on a cross. Just imagine that if you were in that situation.
That'd be terrible.
I, most will just throw the towel there and then or get completely shut down. But what she did, what I find so moving, is she let herself be pierced by the pain and open through all of it to an even greater love. And she lived it with the most horrendous hardships you can even imagine. Like, for example, when she came to the apostles, there are some pieces also in the Bible you can see. She came to the apostles and announced the good news that her beloved is alive, right? And they didn't believe her. But then he came, and so suddenly, of course, they believed him. But then he gave the mantle to her. She was already a teacher, but he gave the mantle to her to be the teacher of the flock when he left entirely. And they just cast her out. They said, nah, we don't want a woman. Just go away. He's not there anymore, so bye-bye. And she left. Not only was she thrown out from the circle, the intimate circle, can you imagine that? They all walked with her and Jeshua, and then they just threw her out like she was a piece of garbage, an annoying pest. She then had to flee the country, Israel, where she grew up, because also the Romans were hunting her down. Because she kept declaring that Joshua had risen. She still spoke truth, even when her life was at stake. How few of us would do that when your life is at stake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
true.
and then she left to France, which of course there was no map at that time. Basically, she didn't know where that little boat would take her when she was fleeing. And she lands in France if we take these pieces from her story, you can follow that she went to St. Paul at some point, not knowing where she would end up, but she finds this grotto, and I take women there every year on a really deep retreat. So she lives for a little bit in that grotto. Most likely she had her child there and then, Sarah Tamar. And some still to this day say, oh yeah, she lived 30 years in the grotto. That's a lie. Because it would mean she would have been doing what most saints did. They hung out in the mountains, they lived in a cave, they were contemplatives. But Mary Magdalene was not just a torchbearer, she was a revolutionary. So what does a revolutionary do? She went into action, she went into the streets. There are recordings of when she was talking to the Queen in Marseille. She taught in the streets. She brought a way of love that was completely unheard of. And of course she healed, but she was a woman. That alone could cost her life every hour, literally. She did it anyway. So this woman had tremendous courage, and she was aligned with something that is so deeply true and abiding, that doesn't end with a century, that is always there, this knowing the truth cannot be destroyed. It can be hidden, And yes, after she parted, there was a huge genocide of anybody who proclaimed Mary Magdalene was a teacher or a healer and was, God forbid, married to him. But you see, you can always find proof in the pudding, because Joshua was, when he was teaching, he was a rabbi. A rabbi at that time couldn't be a rabbi unless he's married.
Okay, interesting.
So, see that. And the wedding of Cana, where he turned water into wine, that was actually their wedding. So you find, if you look closely, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, and that means the inner eye and the inner ears, you will always find a trail of truth, like the breadcrumbs of truth. You just have to look. You
Yes.
just have to hear and feel. And for her, I think for her, I cannot imagine that her life was incredibly hard. But what was it? What inspired me, for example, to ask, I met her, I encountered her by total surprise 20 years ago. And I had never heard of this woman, and internet didn't exist at that time. What inspired me was like to ask, how in the world did you do what you were able to do? How did you live through all this and plant a staff that is now like sprouting throughout all the world? How in the world did you keep that fire going when you were, for centuries she was called a whore. And then she became like, okay, she's the apostle of the apostles. But that still is missing a piece.
Yeah.
Because if you look into the story, Magdalena was trained as a high priestess. And I don't mean the kind of priestess trainings that are offered these days. I mean like solid within the Isis temple. Yeah. And so she came already very advanced to when she met Jeshua. They only had 3 years together. She was teaching alongside with him. She was healing and leading alongside with him. And that's why it's called the sacred union, the holy marriage. It was empowered on both sides. And that, in that time, was already so unprecedented. So it was safer to say, okay, now we have accepted, I think the church accepted, I think 7 years ago, to say she's the apostle of the apostles. Because there are even pointers in the Bible that say, oh yeah, he kissed her frequently on the mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
She anointed him, yeah, with the oil from the alabaster jar. These are images, and these are part of the story that tell us something far greater. The anointment for burial was given by a high priestess with the most expensive oils. It wasn't given by just any woman. So there's pointers here.
Yeah.
And at the same time, what really touched me with her is that she was also what I found on this path. And what I teach with the women too is like this total and utter embrace of our humanity. So the beauty of her is like, because she walked bare feet, I mean, maybe not literally, probably was worn out sandals,
Yeah.
and a bag with his skull in it later. But she was literally, she embraced her humanity. She wasn't just talking some transcendent divinity talks, get beyond this world. That's a very masculine approach. Like Joshua brought in the masculine, the kingdom of the Father is beyond, yeah? She brought in the queendom of the mother, that everything in life, every living being is sacred, has worth. From the sinner to the richest person, from the animals to the angels, all has innate worth. And to learn the way of love basically is also to learn to act accordingly to that. That
Mm-hmm.
everything is worthy of our respect, of our honoring, of our kindness, of our love, and that nothing and no one is ever left out of a love that's undivided, that's greater than all the challenges we find ourselves in.
Yeah. Do you think that that's why now we're sort of becoming more receptive to learning these teachings of Mary Magdalene? Because for so long we were somewhat oppressed, and so we didn't want to open up to realize that we all have this sacred worth. Do you think that's some of why it's
Some of
coming?
it for sure. I mean, right now there is a big rising of women, of the feminine. For me, I've been teaching this way for for decades. But first now I see like, wow, it's coming to the world forefront. It's the women who dare to connect, dare to find their true worth, but also dare to connect to that life power innate in us and liberate themselves. It's right now women say enough of this old bullshit. We are done. We are done with the oppression. We won't bow our heads to it anymore. We're not giving the lifeblood anymore to, rapists and whatever. We are standing now. And the women are standing up just like she stood. So she's kind of like well, she's not just kind of, she's a trailblazer. Who's like, she chopped with the machete or with, when you chop away through the jungle, she went first, And when she called me to be one of her lineage teachers, and that's not something I got like just in a meditation, it was earned, by walking the talk rather than talking it.
Mhm.
But at some point, she asked me to be her lineage teacher, and I realized that, 15 years ago, it was like about everything was still the other way around, even in the spiritual scene. It was very masculine. And
Mhm.
for now, I see, wow, now some of us placed the trail also with her. And now women are saying, we're fed up with this crap. We're going and turning to our way, the woman's way. We're claiming, I would say, a mother lineage that I'm gonna say it right now. It's like, it's the root lineage of all lineages. It's the tree of life at the root. That's her line, that's her lineage. And from the branches, many forms and religions and traditions spring. But where did it all begin? Of course, it began with the creation, the mother. How could it not? And Mary Magdalena was steeped in that, brought it forth, and lived it. And there's a big emphasis in her way on embodying rather than just knowledge, talking, studying. It's that live it. And that's rare to find.
Mhm. Do you think that now women kind of, we almost have this innate knowledge that's kind of within us, that this is why she's becoming such a teacher of today? Like I know she has been, but such a teacher of today to women to stand up and fight for these things, because it's almost like we're embodying her spirit and her trailblazing things that we're just, there's something deep in our souls that's just really calling to us to now do this in today's day and age.
I think that's a big reason. And also, I think because she blazed the trail. So when you come in contact with her, it's like it gives you more fire. It gives you more strength. It gives you more support to be able to stand. And I think for women, when something has been so oppressed for so long, we are plagued with doubts, not trusting ourselves, feeling disempowered. You can't force that to feel suddenly you are, feel good about yourself. This is like she's standing at your back right now,
Mhm.
saying, I got you. I'm with you. The most powerful sentence, I am with you. in the hell or in the heavens, doesn't matter. I am with you. And that living presence that's coming through now, so many, where it just resonates, something feels home, something feels whole. And I think that's because I think also we're in a time where we need an authentic spirituality and
Yes.
less, yes, the knowledge is important, but there's something about like, okay, let's go and practice this. Let's go and live this. What are the true teachings? How can we apply it? Because
Yeah.
that's how we turn things in our lives, but also in the world. And this is how you find the strength when you feel someone is with you,
Yes.
that stands beside with you and has touched the deepest hells herself, walked through it, not flew above it, not drown in it, but if she can do it, you can too.
Yes. So
And
how
you
will we know, sorry, how do we know if we're having the calling from her? Like what will show up in our lives that will say, now is when I need her teachings. Now she's showing up because she wants me to learn her teachings. How do we know as women, as humans, how do we know that that's
beautiful question. I think it has to do with your heart. She always calls in the heart. For some women, I mean, I've seen it, for example, Magdalena retreat, that's right in the cave there. And well, they call it now the legendary retreat. And I often wonder, how do women find me? Because I don't advertise this very much at all. They always say, so there's, for example, one story is like, yeah, I had a dream about her. And the next day I opened the computer and suddenly your retreat popped up. Or women feel like the book from anybody who's a writer, has written a Magdalena book. Some of it is really good and some of it's not. But that people make up a lot of stuff also that's not true. So it's good to use discernment. But for example, a book falls into your hand, or suddenly you keep seeing roses. Her symbol is the dove and the rose, the red rose. Yeah. Or you keep hearing doves, or you feel like something is missing in my life. I need I need someone who actually can guide me through what I'm walking through. Someone who's walked that way before. So it's that sometimes, oh, my picture just froze. Let me go
you
in.
did?
Okay, I come right back, okay?
Yeah. Nicola's just trying to come back on with to be able to not be frozen on the screen. So if you're watching, so I hope that everybody is really enjoying this live. I'll just talk to you while we're waiting for her. It's amazing information.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I
Um,
just talked while you were gone, so there wasn't blank
you keep
air.
talking. My Zoom is just crashing. Oh,
Yeah.
here I am. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Um, yeah. So
So
where was?
So
Yes.
I guess I have another question for you, which is how do we pay homage to her then? To, when we're getting her teachings and we want to give back to her, do we do that just through our teachings or is there other ways?
I think the main thing is, remember, it's about living a great love. It's like love an animal, love a plant and show it in action, love a person, show it in action. It's that way. It is a devotional way where you hold in your heart when you serve other beings, you serving her and therefore also yourself. So there's no separation. It's that kind of liberation that comes to say, there is no separation. As you serve me, so do you serve all beings, and vice versa. And you are included in that. You're not left out, because I would say sometimes women have a tendency, like certain women have a tendency to be the sacrifice and the servant. But I'm not talking about the servant that comes from a low self-worth, but rather to serve the bigger self, to serve her in you as well as in I've. And that can mean sometimes you ask your heart, what is it that is the most loving to do? What is it that is true to do? What is brave that you're calling me to? And that, I think, helps us to be in touch with what gives you life, what opens you up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, can you tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find your teachings, your books, um, sign up for some of these retreats of yours to experience this with you and, really find this power that Mary Magdalene does have for us and is offering us now?
Mm. Oh, I say that in a moment, but I want to add for everybody, power is not something that's handed to you. Every time you walk through a challenge, more power opens up in you. It's like you gain the blessing of power by actually walking through, and then greater life or greater power is given unto you. So it's a very different way. So in that way, I would say, don't be afraid of your challenges. Take them as an invitation. Grab her hand, hold on to it, and help and let her guide you through. Come, come hell or fire or light or love, doesn't matter. And the one thing that I also want to say is like, love no matter what. That was her way. And let it be our way today as well. And with that, I answer your question. um, so women can go, or people can go to my website. It's called nicolaamadora.com. I'm also known as Dr. Nicola. And then you can look at, if you're specifically interested in the Magdalena Way, just click on the Magdalena Way, Revolutionary Way of Mary Magdalena. There's a button, and it shows you literally everything from the retreats, the courses, the programs. We have a thriving community. We have women who are, all of them, I would say most of them, are so into being authentic. And I think that's what we need today. And
Agreed. I agree.
Yeah.
And when the replay comes out, I will go in and put all of these links in for people so that it's easier for them to find you. And, we really appreciate you being on today. I just love everything that you say, and it just really shines a little bit of bright. And I always find myself when you're talking about Mary Magdalene feeling almost emotional, like I can just feel her love coming in. So I really appreciate you spending time with me today and with everybody else. So thank you so much. And if you
Um,
had a final thought to leave with everybody on this, what would it be?
just take a moment and let yourself feel she's right now present because we're talking about her and you can feel her. You feel already emotional and let yourself entrust yourself with her because she will not lead you astray, but she will lead you home to the place you always have been longing for, that grail inside that's just waiting to be unleashed.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Nicola. It's
Yeah.
always an honor spending time with you and listening to what you have to share. So thank you for being with us today.
Yes, you're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And we will see everybody on our next podcast or live.